Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gypsy Poet Radio here on blogtalkradio.com/Gypsy Poet. I am the Gypsy Poet, and with me is the wonderful and fantabulous and spunky and spontaneous Girl.George once again. Always Girl.George, Girl.George, Girl.George. Oh, what a blast she is. Oh, and we've got a wonderful guest this afternoon. Every guest has been wonderful, my goodness, but this one, everyone's become a favorite of mine, and I'm so glad that Girl.George brings them to me, and she just makes things so much fun in this half hour of GPR.
You're so easy to please.
Of course, I try to be. And oh my goodness, I like this guy. He really is a rockin' fella. Let me tell you, his name is Billy Katz.
Billy Katz was my guitar player at Al's Bar in L.A.
That's right. For a long, wonderful time.
What was it? 1985?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
You came in with Fish Karma.
Oh.
Didn't you work with Fish Karma?
Oh, I worked with everybody back in those days.
I meant in a bookstore or a record store or something. You worked with Fish Karma, right?
No, we never actually worked together. What the heck was his deal? I can't
know.
recall.
You came in with him, and you seen me playing. You said, "Well, I can do that shit," and you started playing with me.
I did. Well, I didn't realize that you had two sets going on. I remember that very first night at Al's Bar. I came in with Fish Karma. We were buddies, and you did a set, and you were doing Dylan, Stoned. There may have been a Beatles song. And I was thinking, well, I can do that. I should be up there playing with you. So you got down on a break, and I said, well, hey, how would you like some company next time? And you said, hey, I'm playing another set. Why don't you play with me? I said, great. We get up there, all originals. I had no idea that it was not going to be another set of covers. And I said, well, I started to tell you, well, I don't really know these songs. Oh, yeah, you'll figure them out. Don't worry, just jump right in. And that was a beginning of a long, fruitful, productive relationship.
Yeah, we wrote songs together. I just write the lyrics and give them to you, and the next time you come back, you have music all ready for them, and they just fit perfect. I don't know how you did it.
Oh, well, sometimes it'd be right before.
And when we went on the stage, if I fucked up, which I normally did, and played the wrong chord, you went right with me. You didn't insist on playing the written right. You would go right with me if I played the wrong chord. You played really good by ear and just went with whatever I did, which God only knows where that was at. You know.
Well, that was some pretty spontaneous stuff back then. I really, really enjoyed that. I can't tell you how many times I'd screech up to the corner there and throw out my amp and guitar, and you, George, would meet me there. Hey, I just wrote this song, and it'd be what happened today with whatever in the news, and we're on in 10 minutes, and just put some chords to it really quick so we can open with that. It's like, well, okay. And I think that's how Warzone came about, and Everybody's Crazy Except Me. And
you didn't write Everybody's Crazy. I wrote that before you. But all the rest, Perverts Everywhere, we wrote together, and the Al's Bar song, and let's see, what other ones? Oh, The Wrong Number about the obscene phone calls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the one about Chernobyl melting down.
Oh, my gosh. See, we were all
that was the first one we wrote together, was the one about Chernobyl melting down. Remember?
Yeah, I do.
Did we play
and we pulled it off pretty
too?
well. I beg your pardon?
Did we play at the Central?
Oh, yeah, every week. It was
Central,
Al's Bar
and the
Sound
Central.
Check. The Sound Check. I could not remember what the other place was. Yeah, we had 3 regular jam nights a week that we always did.
Yeah, I had Baba on the show a while back.
Oh my gosh, I hadn't heard of that name.
Remember Baba?
Yeah, of course I do. She was the booker.
And we've had Fish Karma on the show. I'm only having people that I know. So we've had Ginger Coyote from the Punk Globe magazine, and
oh man,
Tequila Mockingbird, you know her.
Yeah, of course I do.
Holly Weir, she's been at the lingerie all the time. She has a punk museum in Hollywood now.
Oh man, I would check that out for sure.
So we played Love Dance together too. For about 10 years.
Oh yeah,
we played that. Remember?
Played
with
which one?
Naomi.
Oh, the Love-In. Oh, of course I do. I still show people that video when I want to brag about my big hair days.
Yeah, well, you had all that hair. Wow, you had such great hair then. You were such a great guitar player. I love the way you play and the way you write. It was really fun working with you.
The Al's Bar stuff was fun because after you and I started playing together, then I kind of just ended up sitting in with everybody that night, punk bands or poets or, the Starving Band guys, and sit in with them, and that was a blast. That was challenging and actually kind of pushed me a little creatively for just a crazy stoner venue.
I heard that there was that movie Juno, that movie about that 16-year-old girl who gets pregnant.
Yeah, I did a lot of stuff on that.
What'd you do?
I did all the guitars for the soundtrack and the score. So if you're watching the movie and you hear like acoustic guitar playing in the background, that's me playing. I didn't actually write the music for that. The guy that did that, Matt Messina, a great guy up in Seattle, he's doing really, really well right now with other movies and some TV stuff, I think. But that was a great experience. A lot of that I worked directly with Jason Reitman, the director, and he was like, I was just in this guy's living room. It wasn't like a fancy studio, so it was all pretty casual and informal. And it would be Jason, okay, play this while she's running up the stairs, and then when she gets to the top of the stairs, kind of like your fingers kind of get caught in the strings, and she's like you're tripping on the stairs, sort of thing. So that was really fun and challenging too. And then the album went on to win a Grammy Award.
So were you playing on those little songs that they were singing when they were sitting down singing those silly little songs? Were you playing on those too?
That's actually them playing.
That's them playing.
So
it's just the background music when they weren't.
Exactly. There's 6 cues throughout the movie, one of which is played over the closing credits at the end. But that was a lot of fun. I
love that movie. It was so cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a cute little movie. It really is. When I went to the premiere in Hollywood from the American Film Institute, I got to sit next to half of Lieber and Stoller.
Wow.
Mike Stoller himself.
Ooh.
Which is
cool.
Kind of neat. And he was, when we were talking beforehand, he was nudging me the whole time. Is that you playing right there? If you heard start playing, is that you? Is that you? And, no, it wasn't me. And, oh, yes, that was me. Okay, that's me there. So, he was kind of legendary. And so that.
What songs did they write? What songs?
Well, like Hound Dog, the stuff for the Platters, the Coasters.
That's the biggest you can get.
Yeah, they're legendary. Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller.
Okay, you were touring with a band. What band were you touring with?
That band was called Box the Walls.
Who was in it?
My friend Wendy Coulter, bass player Brian Mostalski, and then a couple rotating drummers and that sort of thing. But that was cool. We had some good tours. We opened for some not huge people, like the Cranberries on their first trip to the United States. We opened for them at the Troubadour.
I love the Cranberries. They did.
Yeah, they had like some cool songs back in the day. Right, exactly. Total bitch. That chick was a total bitch. We're talking about the Troubadour. It's not like the Forum or something, but she was like, oh, no one can come near my dressing room. The little closet-sized room with a couple hangers on them. Oh, don't come. Oh, don't talk to that girl from the Cranberries. She's too important.
I'm a big star.
Yeah, exactly. I heard that she was that way with the rest of the band, too.
Who else did you play with?
Well, we were opening for this group called the Innocence Mission back in the day. They were sort of big in the Christian music era. They were from Philadelphia, and we opened for them in Salt Lake City, and their manager came right downstairs to our dressing room and was like, okay, you guys cannot have any weed around these guys. Please don't drink beer around them. These guys are super Christian. You guys are going to have to be super careful about anything you do around them. And, of course, the band themselves was totally mellow and, hey, do whatever you want. We're into all that stuff, too.
What about the band Vim? Didn't you play with a band called Vim?
I'm still playing with Paula Richardson, who is the other half of Vim. We've gone through several name changes, which is a great way to keep people from learning about us, of course. These days, we're sort of phasing from Vim into the Olivia Mullet. So if you're curious at all, you can go to our Reverb Nation page, reverbnation.com/the Olivia Mullet, to hear some of our stuff.
Make it hard for them to remember and for them to pronounce. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a reference, I'm sure this is obvious, but to Olivia Newton-John's hairstyle, the Olivia Mullet.
No, I would have never guessed that. Olivia's mullet? I always had what they called a mullet, I think. Short.
I've gone through my mullet phases. I've gone through my mullet phases.
No, it still is. It always has been.
So where are you from originally?
Upstate New York, Syracuse, New York. Played with several bands up around there. One of the groups, Dunes and the Deltunes, is still going strong with your greatest hits of the 60s. Mm-hmm. And, went to some music schools out there, and then when I got out here to California, went to USC. But, did a lot of band stuff and a lot of session work, a lot of writing, a lot of recording, and so on, back in the Syracuse days. That was a lot of fun.
Where's New York?
I'm sorry?
You're from Syracuse, New York?
That's right. I don't get there very often these days, but it was a good place. It was a lot of snow, and the band I was with, we had a lot of gear, and we got stuck in snow belts and snow banks and stuff like that. But we
what
had some
did
great
your father
tours.
do? What did your father do?
My dad was an aerospace engineer. He actually worked on one of the...
I thought he was a nuclear physicist.
Close enough. You could say he's a rocket scientist in a way. He worked on one of the first space shuttle missions and actually the early space station stuff back in the day. He was a total gadget guy. He died about 10 years ago now. But if you looked at my dad's car, it's a total James Bond gadget mobile. He actually spoke with the space shuttle from the driveway of his house one day, and he has a postcard from the astronauts to prove it, just on a mobile ham radio station built in his car. He had switches for everything and little monitors for all kinds of little stuff. No one would know what most of it meant, but it looked really, really bitchin', that's for sure.
Did your mother do anything? Was she working or an artist or anything?
No. She your classic stay-at-home mom. Back.
How many kids were there?
I'm the oldest of 4.
We got girls and boys, or what?
Yeah, boy, girl. There's 11 months between my sister and me, and 10 years between my littlest sister and me.
Wow.
Everyone else
took
kind
a
of
vacation,
ended up in,
huh?
Yeah, barely. Everyone else kind of ended up in fairly conservative careers. I'm sort of the black sheep musician guy that ended up on the other side of the country.
I always thought that was really funny that your father was a nuclear physicist. Remember Honey Davis?
Oh, yeah, the
You know what his
guy.
father did? His father was the head of the psychiatric department of Harvard.
Really? I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, that's where he got money, because he never worked. He always had bands. His father just sent him money all the time.
I never felt comfortable calling him by name, especially if you were in a place where people didn't know who he was. I just went, hey, honey, how's it going? I think that's when I started calling people dude. But great slide player, that guy. Do you still hear from him?
No. He's in L.A. somewhere. I haven't heard from him in ages. I heard from one of his daughters. They're all grown up now.
Wow.
Mary died years ago. Remember Mary, his wife? She was a keyboard player.
Yeah.
She died quite a long time. Brain hemorrhage or something like that. So he ended up with her 8 kids, 7 or 8 kids, something like that. And then I've heard from one of the daughters when she was grown up, but that was a long time ago. I don't hear from Honey much. He's not on the web much. I only hear from people that go on Facebook. They don't go on Facebook, I have no way of getting in touch with them.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were on Facebook.
that chick, what's her name, Elda?
Yeah.
That wrote the book. That should be great to interview about. She writes romance novels. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I think she still does that.
Well, she's got a page that you sent me to, but it's one of those fan pages. It's not a real page that you talk on, and she hasn't been to it in a year. So I left her a message there. Hopefully she'll get back to me. I'd love to interview her. That would be funny, because my partner, Gypsy, likes to write, and so they would have a lot in common.
That's an interesting bunch.
Yeah.
Romance writers.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of them are
the
men.
great book she wrote. I think it's mostly about you. She wrote about, but that was a cool book that she wrote. I only read one. I think it was her first one.
I actually read one. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it was about you, right?
The musician one was, yeah. That was one of the very first ones.
It was sort of about you, but that's the only one I ever read. I thought it was really cool. And then her brother made me that fan page about everybody singing the George song, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, man.
And he was an artist. He was really good.
Oh, yeah, he was really
Remember
good.
that little poster he made?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, he was a good cartoonist.
Yeah.
I've got two questions for you, Billy, and I think you're going to like these. Okay, well, first of all, the first part of the question is, like, what are your musical influences? And the other part is, have you ever had a chance to play with somebody who is and or was a musical influence?
I'd say, yeah, because my first influence was Girl.George, and thankfully I've got many chances to play. I think my biggest influences are people who have a unique musical style that you can pick them out instantly, like Jeff Beck is one of my big influences, Brian May from Queen, Johnny Greenwood, the guitarist from Radiohead. I've never gotten a chance to meet or play with any of my influences, though. I think that'd be a really neat thing, although I'd probably be so starstruck I would just be paralyzed. One of the pictures I have up, though, that I think you got on one of the radio show things is me jamming with Lee Ritenour, who was like a big session guy and jazz guy. And that was back in my music school days. So that was not someone I would necessarily call an influence, but someone whose work I really admired and who I got to jam with and suck horribly. But still, at least I got to have that experience and get some constructive criticism as well.
When I toured with Dr. Hook, I got to play on the same bill with Chuck Berry, so that was pretty heavy.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Are you working on anything now?
The stuff I've been doing lately is mostly instrumental things. I'm working towards placements. Like I go to these music supervisor sessions where you get to play a few minutes of your material for the guys that are placing music for like Dexter, Mad Men, and such. So I've gotten some good positive feedback, and I've met a couple new people that I've started collaborating with and stuff. So nothing that's really what I would call a bite quite yet, but a lot of like exciting prospects. I've been working with Todd Rundgren's manager, who's really excited about some of the stuff I'm working with one of his clients. So you never know. It's developing connections and networking more these days, that type of stuff. Also, the person I was working with from Vim/the Olivia Mullet, we always have projects and new songs and in the works. We just put up a video recently featuring over 120 different band T-shirts in it. It goes by pretty quickly, but it's kind of fun to watch. That's on our Reverb Nation page, too. And other than that, I'd like to do solo electronica stuff, get some crazy video things and put music to that. It's a lot of fun, and it's something that I can work on, in the wee hours after the wife and kid have gone to bed, and just kind of get into that headspace. And I'll send you links to stuff. There's a couple interesting things you can check out.
So you got married, 6 to 8 years ago?
It'll be 7 years in a week from Tuesday.
Oh, happy anniversary. What is she, Irish?
Yeah.
Is she Irish? Her name's Megan.
Megan, yep. Megan's a musician herself, although she's also a librarian. She recently started library work at an awesome little local library. And she has a cool kids music class that we both write the songs for. It's called Kids in Harmony.
Is she Irish?
No, not Irish. She's from Cincinnati.
So she don't have a nationality, huh? I just figured with a name like
Cincinnati.
Megan, it'd be
Cincinnati, that's kind of a nationality. Whoops.
And your baby
she's
looks
really
just like you. Your baby's a couple months younger than my youngest grandkid.
Oh, man.
Claire today is 4 years old. My
that's
youngest
my
grandkid. My oldest one's 7. And yours is what, 3?
She's 3 years and 8 months.
She looks just like you.
Oh, thanks. He's a sweetie.
The mouth, the smile, everything. Like
happiest kid you would ever meet. That kid wakes up smiling.
Videos you put 5 million videos of her up. I'm glad you're happy.
Yeah, she gets a lot of screen time, that's for sure. But she likes music too. She's got her own guitar and drums and keyboards, and she's always banging around and or dancing around doing something.
She goes to dance school yet? Does she go to dance school?
They have some dance classes at her preschool, so she loves that stuff. She gets up there and dances.
So Claire goes to an actual dance school because her mother did. So her mother sent her to dance school. She loves it, where they just teach them how to dance and spin around.
Man!
What actually led to you and Girl.George collaborating on some music?
This happened.
Yeah, this happened. We were jamming together so much, and then it was like, hey, here's some words, write chords to them, and then I would say, well, how do you know what melody? I'll know what melody. You just put the chords down and write them on top of the word where the chord changes, and then I'll figure out the melody after that. And then I remember one marathon recording session where you, George, were going to be seeing Chris Christopherson at some fest of some kind, and we wanted to get a tape to him because obviously he's an old friend of yours. And I had this terrible cold, but I brought my 4-track cassette recorder over to your place, and we just sat.
I had a cold too.
Oh, that was a miserable evening. We got a lot of stuff done, and miraculously completed a tape that I believe it was a few inches away from being actually handed to Chris Christopherson, but didn't quite make it, if I recall.
I think I gave it to Billy Swan. I see Billy Swan there. Oh, I got it up on YouTube now.
Okay.
It's flaky form that I had. It was broken and everything, but I managed to get it up on YouTube, and I put pictures with them. So they're all up on YouTube. Except for We Shall Survive, I lost a verse of it because that's where it broke. The tape broke because I played it so many times. But it's all up there. It sounds actually pretty good, considering.
Hey. That was my working every place along a stretch of Hollywood Boulevard days. I worked at one block. I worked at a head shop, 2 T-shirt places, 2 bookstores, a record store.
What about the photo place? You worked at photo place.
Oh, yeah. There was a photo lab there, too. That was
and then you owned one for a while until the riots, and they burned it down or something, didn't they?
Yeah. In fact, I had been shooting a lot of Stevie Nicks' artwork, and she had maybe 25 of her original paintings at my photo lab, and her assistant picked me up in this limo and said, we have to go over there. This is during, when you weren't supposed to be going outside during the riots. And we went down to my photo lab and picked up all of Stevie Nicks' paintings and drove them back to her mansion.
During the riots, huh?
Yeah, it's a pretty flowery stuff. Like she had this one she painted for print.
Saved it.
Yeah,
that was pretty scary times. That was right on Wendy's 15th birthday, so she didn't get to have a 15th birthday party because we were in lockdown because L.A. was burning down during those Rodney King riots.
Oh, man. I remember bicycling home from the photo lab, and right in front of me, this van pulled up, and some guys jumped out and threw bricks through the Radio Shack window and just started pillaging like crazy. It was
crazy. I mean, they bust through the windows with trucks, and then all this thousands of people behind them were flooding down the street, and they run in there in the fire. I mean, these places would be on fire, and they'd be in there stealing stuff. And I seen him on TV coming up Vermont, which I lived a block off Vermont. And it was like locusts. There's a million people coming up the street. So I ran to Wendy's school, and I said, give me my kid. And they said, take her. We want to get rid of him. So I signed her out and took her home, and we locked down for 3 days until it was over.
Wow.
And we, all the smoke was like a half block from us. So
man.
It was really scary. We didn't know if they were going to bust in the doors and kill us.
Yeah, talking about war zone. That was your war zone right there.
That was it. That's where I wrote that song, was at that apartment, but it was before the riots that I wrote.
Yeah, that's
it
what
was just moving into those apartments. It was scary. Someone got killed right in front of my house one night.
Oh.
I came home. Good thing Wendy was off at summer camp, because I came home and there was a dead body in front of the house.
Oh, gadzooks. Good time.
Oh, well. Good old L.A., but I'm in the same thing now. Berkeley, Oakland's the same, Richmond, they're all killers.
That's what I hear.
Bang, bang, shoot 'em up. Oh, that was another one we did, that bang, bang, shoot 'em up, flashing siren, lights and siren. Was
oh, yeah. Yeah,
I
remember that one.
That was
a song.
Some part of it.
Well, I did want to ask one question now that we're approaching the end here. Is there a place that you have always wanted to visit or travel to and just be one with it? Any place around the world?
Well, this is going to sound boring as all get out, but since I'm so poorly traveled, I actually think it'd be neat to go to London just to see, interesting fashions. I'm really into clothes. Interesting music, I'm into funky indie bands, and I think it'd just be a really interesting scene. I mean, there's a lot of places I would still love to go to, Paris, Rome, Amsterdam, the usuals, but I think London would be a really interesting place, and everything I've seen or read of it just seems, it's kind of like when I was living in New York and thinking about Los Angeles and Hollywood and stuff. And I think I'd really kind of fit in there, and I was right. I've been here 30-something years now. And so that's how I kind of feel.
I went to London back in 74, and I met Chrissy Hine there. Before she was a pretender. She was selling clothes at that sex store that she was selling punk clothes.
Oh, man.
And I bought a punk outfit from her, and then we became friends. I stayed at her house for a while before I came back. So it was a cool scene back then, back in 1974.
I bet. It's probably still cool, I guess.
Yeah, it always is, just like L.A. and San Francisco and New York. There's always something new happening.
Maybe in 15 years when my kid moves out of the house, I'll start traveling some more.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. Are you working on anything now, or are you just playing, or what are you working on? What are you doing?
Mostly I'm working on solo projects, and like I said, I have a couple of collaborators. But I always have too many projects in the works in various stages of completion. So it's whatever I have time for, I kind of just jump back into it. I really like putting together little short films. If you get a moment to look at my website, which is billyscores.com, there's a couple of videos there, and there'll be a couple more videos coming up in the next few weeks. Just random stuff. But, I think kind of stuff like that is really fun to do. And since, no one is really hiring me to score their films, I'll just make my own little movies and and put music to those. I like doing the videos with my kid, of course, but other stuff too.
Because I love film scores myself too, so that hits home with me.
Yeah, and there's so much interesting stuff. I'm actually going to be taking a course in Berkeley next year, when they're online courses on scoring for film and television. It's really an amazing course, and, it never hurts to beef up your skills, even when you're an old guy like me.
Is that this Berkeley or the Berkeley in New York?
The Boston one.
That's the music school, Berkeley.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful place, too. Well, we are about out of time. I just wanted to say thank you so much for calling in, Billy Katz. What a
It was great talking
afternoon.
to you, Billy.
Yeah, I haven't talked to George in forever, and I've never talked to Gypsy before. So thanks so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, not a problem. Ladies and gentlemen, please check out the show right after it's over. It's going to be archived in a matter of minutes. So whenever you can, check out GPR on blogtalkradio.com/gypsypoet. And, of course, I've got the lovely, wonderful Girl.George with me, as always. And please be sure to look up Billy Katz on Facebook and his website, billyscores.com. I'll be posting that later on Facebook. Thank you so much, everybody. This is the Gypsy Poet. Thank you so much, both Girl.George and Billy Katz. This is the Gypsy Poet signing off, saying addio for now.
Ciao.